Hello everyone, welcome to this commentary video about pragerU. And if you don't know what pragerU is, it's basically a right-wing organization that specializes in making very silly videos. So yeah, TLDW at this timestamp on screen, and hopefully we can have a productive conversation in the comments, not some stupid bullcrap. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video.
Does the Constitution grant citizenship to anyone born in the United States, even the children of people who've entered the country illegally, or the children of foreign tourists who owe our country no allegiance? That's the question underlying the controversial issue of birthright citizenship. Many people today take it for granted that the answer is yes. If you're born on American soil, you're an American citizen, period. End of issue. But is that what the Constitution says?
Yes, let's look at the Constitution when it benefits our point and ignore it when it comes to literally anything else. I'm sorry, but this is always just something that ticks me off. He quite frankly shows how much he cares about the First Amendment due process and said that he doesn't even know if he has to uphold the Constitution. And he's breaking this since he started running for president. Oh, but Bubba, the Constitution does not outright say that a convicted felon can't run for president. Oh, so is that when you're allowed to use loopholes in the Constitution? Pretty sure it's not stated in this because the founding fathers didn't think that people would actually consider electing such a person.
Let's first look at the text of that document, specifically the 14th Amendment. It reads, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. Case closed, right? Not so fast. The key phrase here is subject to the jurisdiction thereof. It creates a second condition for birthright citizenship, beyond merely being born on American soil.
I feel as though this is a way to cherry pick in the system, almost give hope to the people applying for citizenship, not to mention that the citizenship process is like super weird. I feel like no one has really thought about the 5 years of residing in the United States, 3 if you're married clause. Like, how am I supposed to get into the United States without illegally coming over? I know there's working permits and education permits, but in Central American countries, a good amount of the times you have to have a good amount of money to do that. So we're just paying walling the ability to live in the United States?
This was also the original understanding of the federal government. In 1885, for example, the State Department rejected the citizenship claim of a man named Richard Greiser. Yes, Greiser had been born in Ohio 18 years earlier, but his German parents never intended to stay in the United States and returned with their son to Germany shortly after his birth. Because Greiser's parents did not owe the United States political allegiance, their son wasn't born subject to its jurisdiction.
So he never actually lived in the United States. That's very different to what I think the video is responding to. Let's not beat around the bush. This video was uploaded 1 month ago. This was around the time that the birthright citizenship thing was called into question and all that. Birthright citizenship is concerning people who are born after 2025 in the United States, not born, left for 18 years and came back looking for citizenship. Not to mention that I'm pretty sure they're going to even try to take the citizenship away from the people who were born before 2025. Not to mention, I'm pretty sure that the people that are moving to the United States for the, for the better opportunity and stuff, just like getting out of their country, I'm pretty sure that they would absolutely pledge political allegiance. I mean, I do. I pledge political allegiance to the United States. To you, it might not seem like it because I'm criticizing the United States government, but I'm pretty sure that's what a good citizen would do, especially under this tyranny, I guess, for lack of a better word.
At least not within the meaning of the 14th Amendment citizenship clause. Similarly, in 1890, the Justice Department considered the citizenship claim of a child born to one Mary Devereux, a pregnant Irish woman being held on a ship in New York Harbor. While awaiting immigration approval, Devereux left the ship for medical treatment and subsequently gave birth in a New York hospital. Authorities later denied her immigration application. Because Devereux wasn't eligible for lawful admission to the U.S., her U.S.-born daughter was not recognized as a U.S. citizen. Both mother and child were sent back to Ireland.
Okay, Mary Devereaux, other than not being able to find anything about her besides this birthright citizenship thing, you have to remember she just came over, waited for the citizenship because of the phrasing and lack of information on her, well, at least that I can find. I assume she never touched down before becoming a citizen, so therefore it's equally okay to assume she never even lived in America before. Unlike a lot of us immigrants who come over, hide, and then get the baby out. So I mean, I guess it's kind of iffy, but come on, man. We're just trying to live a best life.
The Supreme Court addressed the question of birthright citizenship in the 1898 case of the United States v. Wong Kim Ark. Wong was born and raised in San Francisco, the son of Chinese immigrants. In 1895, after a short trip to China, Wong returned to the U.S., only to be detained by authorities and threatened with deportation. Wong sued, arguing that he was an American citizen by birth. The Supreme Court agreed. While this decision is often cited as proof that the 14th Amendment mandates universal birthright citizenship, it proves nothing of the sort. Just as the amendment was meant to undo the immoral Dred Scott decision, the Wong decision was meant to undo the immoral Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. That law prohibited immigrants of Chinese descent from becoming American citizens, no matter how long they lawfully lived, worked, and raised their families here. Wong's parents were what we might today call lawful permanent residents. San Francisco was their home. And according to the court, Congress could prevent lawful Chinese immigrants from becoming naturalized citizens. But it could not subject their US born and raised children to perpetual alien status because of their race. So, universal birthright citizenship isn't required by the 14th Amendment's text or historical context. It's inconsistent with the earliest legal interpretations of the amendment, and it isn't compelled by Supreme Court precedent.
This situation is definitely going to try to be overturned because, let me think, they don't like immigrants. And as much as you believe this is this is what's gonna happen, just because you lived here for a good amount of time, that you get to stay, this is certainly not the case. The borders are made it clear, the president made it clear, and the people who voted for them based on those principles made it clear. What I think this video is really for is for the people that come to the United States, have a baby, then say the baby's American. Personally, I feel like this country, which is founded on stolen land, just like every other country, and the hypocritical native-born American term. I mean, come on, man. You gotta give back sometimes, innit?
Why then are so many so confident in their assertion that universal birthright citizenship is established constitutional law? Maybe a better question would be, what constitution are they talking about? I'm Amy Swearer, Senior Legal Fellow at the Heritage Foundation for pragerU University.
When people describe particularly evil individuals or regimes, why is it that they use the terms Nazi or fascist, but almost never communist?
Because Nazis killed because they thought they were superior to everyone on the planet. They conducted experiments on people whilst they were still alive. Basically just Unit 731 in Europe. Communism is something that is great in concept, but just gets hijacked by a bunch of stupid, dumb idiot bozos who just want control. They cause famines and kill anyone that opposes their views. No experimentation, and there's usually no eugenics involved.
Given the unparalleled amount of human suffering communists have caused, why is communist so much less a term of revulsion than Nazi? Communists killed 70 million people in China, more than 20 million people in the Soviet Union, not including about 5 million Ukrainians, and almost 1 out of every 3 Cambodians. And communists enslaved entire nations in Russia, Vietnam, China, Eastern Europe, North Korea, Cuba, and much of Central Asia. They ruined the lives of well over 1 billion people. So why doesn't communism have the same terrible reputation as Nazism?
I guess we're leaving out the fact that communists and communism are very different. Communism is a system, and communists are the people who follow that system, though it doesn't actually mean they believe in it. Think of it like a Atlantan megachurch. A bunch of people who say they believe in God, but actively go against his teachings.
Reason number 1, there is, simply put, widespread ignorance of the communist record. Whereas both right and left loathe Nazism and teach its evil history, the left, and I'm talking about the left, not traditional liberals, like Harry Truman or John F. Kennedy, has never loathed communism. And since the left dominates academia, almost no one teaches communism's evil history. Reason number 2, the Nazis carried out the Holocaust. Nothing matches the Holocaust for pure evil. The rounding up of virtually every Jewish man, woman, child, and baby on the European continent and sending them to die is unprecedented and unparalleled.
You stupid
Yeah, I agree. People do tend to just not care about it. I'm pretty sure it's because we learned about the people who enforce communism. In fact, communism itself isn't talked about in school, at least the actual concept behind it. This is because politicians would absolutely love to instill the notion of communism as bad, because it is, and would absolutely love for you to blindly hate it.
The communists killed far more people than the Nazis, but never matched the Holocaust in the systemization of genocide. The uniqueness of the Holocaust and the enormous attention rightly paid to it have helped ensure that Nazism has a worse name than communism. Reason number 3, communism is based on nice-sounding theories. Nazism isn't. It's based on heinous-sounding theories.
Heinous-sounding theories? How can it sound not heinous?
Intellectuals in general, including, of course, the intellectuals who write history, are seduced by words, so much so that they deem actions as less significant than words. For that reason, they haven't focused nearly as much attention on the horrific actions of communists as they have on the horrific actions of the Nazis.
I'm pretty sure that's because they just tell it as is. Well, I was in high school, just graduated, by the way. I never thought that the information was presented in any bias with the downplaying of the actions or words. You want to talk about downplaying?
For that reason, they haven't focused nearly as much attention on the horrific actions of communists as they have on the horrific actions of the Nazis. They dismiss the evils of communists as perversions of true communism, but they regard Nazi atrocities, correctly, as the logical and inevitable results of Nazism.
Because this was the end goal of Nazism. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but yes, a lot of the horrific actions caused by communist leaders are just exertions of power and control. In fact, spin eugenics in a way that doesn't sound heinous. Spin, let's have them here, let's develop chemicals that will kill them in the most painful way possible into an agreeable way. If you can, please leave a comment, and if you make a solid point, I'll heart and pin and go back on my word. You're leaving out the fact that Nazism is built on a very radical idea of German Romanticism, focusing on a politically twisted version of the glory days of Germany. They believed that there was a hierarchy of races, Aryans being the master race, and they were to rule them all.
Reason number 4. Germans have thoroughly exposed the evils of Nazism, have taken responsibility for them, and have attempted to atone for them. Russians have not done anything similar regarding Lenin's or Stalin's horrors.
Propaganda.
To the contrary, Lenin, the father of Soviet communism, is still widely venerated in Russia.
Propaganda.
And as regards Stalin, as University of London Russian historian Donald Rayfield puts it, quote, people still deny, by assertion or implication, Stalin's Holocaust, unquote. Even less so as China exposed the greatest mass murderer and enslaver of them all, Mao Zedong. Mao remains revered in China. Every Chinese currency note has his picture on it.
So I'm pretty sure the celebration is caused by propaganda because they have that over there. That's why I celebrated. They do ignore it. Not enough to say. We were taught it in school. This Holocaust killed more people than the Nazis' Holocaust, and it's just that for some reason people never cared. That, and I feel like the Nazis' Holocaust is more iconic because language is twisted like it is. When the general populace hear the Holocaust, they are more likely to think about the Nazi Holocaust and not the word. Also, people deny the Nazi Holocaust because dumbass, far right, I don't know.
Until Russia and China and Vietnam and Cuba and North Korea acknowledge the evils their countries committed under communism, communism's evils will remain less known than the evils of the German state under Hitler.
And until capitalist countries admit the evils that capitalism has done to the world, we'll have world peace. Probably.
Reason number 5. Communists murdered mostly their own people. The Nazis, on the other hand, killed very few fellow Germans. World opinion, that largely meaningless and amoral term, deems the murder of members of one's own group far less noteworthy than the murder of outsiders. That's why, for example, blacks killing millions of fellow blacks in Africa elicits almost no attention from world opinion.
Who would have thought? Black African people killing other black African people. Who else are they gonna kill? White people and get bombed by every other white country in the world?
And reason number 6. In the view of the left, the last good war was World War II, the war against German Nazism and Japanese fascism. The left does not regard wars against communist regimes as good wars. For example, the American war against Vietnamese communism is regarded as immoral, and the war against Korean communism and its Chinese communist backers is simply ignored. Until the left and all the institutions influenced by the left acknowledge how evil communism has been, we will continue to live in a morally confused world. In the meantime, all good people owe it to the victims of communism to learn what happened to them. Even worse than being murdered or enslaved is a world that doesn't even know that you were. In the contemporary world, it's taken as a given. In the contemporary world, it's taken as a given that capitalism, with its free market and profit motive, is based on selfishness and produces selfishness.
True.
Socialism is based on selflessness and produces selflessness.
Half true.
Well, the opposite is true.
Very wrong.
Whatever its intentions, socialism produces far more selfish individuals and a far more selfish society than a free market economy does. And once this widespread selfishness catches on, it is almost impossible to undo it. Here's an illustration. In 2010, the United States President Barack Obama addressed a large audience of college students. At one point in his speech, he announced that young people will now be able to remain on their parents' health insurance plan until age 26.
No comment.
I don't ever recall hearing a louder, more thunderous, or more sustained applause than I did then. Had the president announced that a cure for cancer had been discovered, it is highly doubtful that the applause would have been as loud or as long. But what were they so happy about? To be told that you can now remain dependent on your parents until age 26 should strike a young person as demeaning, not liberating. Throughout American history, and for that matter, all of Western history, the great goal of young people was to become a mature adult, beginning with being independent of mom and dad. Socialism and the welfare state destroy this aspiration. In various European countries, and now increasingly in the US, it is becoming common for young people to live with their parents well into their 30s, and not infrequently beyond. And why not? In the welfare state, taking care of yourself is no longer a virtue. Why? Because the government will take care of you. Therefore, socialism enables, and as a result produces, people whose preoccupations become more and more self-centered.
People are going to take care of themselves regardless of their own welfare. If anything, welfare is just a supplement, especially for those who can't get a job, like the elderly or the sick or veterans who have been, hurt in combat.
How many benefits will I receive from the government?
If you're an able-bodied person, you really shouldn't be asking this question.
Will the government pay for my education?
They'd rather you be uneducated.
Will the government pay for my health care?
They should be doing that already.
What is the youngest age at which I can retire?
Retirement age is 67, and the average life expectancy somehow is 80 in the United States. We're going up actually. So say for those 13 years, you spend since you were what, 16 working. That's when I started working. 16 to 67. That's 51 years of working 5 days a week or 4 days a week, for 40 hours a week on at the minimum. Not to mention that, you know, you have all this other business related stuff that you also have to do. 13 years and being 67 during those 13 years is not really what I'm looking forward to. This is coming from people who already retired because of what their parents already built for them.
How much paid vacation time can I get?
Nothing wrong with a little vacation.
How many days can I call in sick and still get paid?
Yeah, because you should work when you're sick, especially if you're in healthcare and food related stuff.
How many weeks of paid paternity or maternity leave am I entitled to?
So do you want people to have kids and take care of them or not?
The list gets longer with every election of a liberal or progressive or left-wing party. And then each entitlement becomes a right. But we're not done. There are even more destructive effects of socialism. Entitlements create citizens who lack a character trait that every human should have: gratitude.
Yeah, you should be grateful and happy that we're making you pay $50,000 to fix your leg.
You cannot be happy if you are not grateful, and you cannot be a good person if you're not grateful. That's why we constantly tell our children, say thank you. But socialism undoes that. After all, why would a person be grateful for receiving an entitlement? Who's going to be grateful for getting what they're entitled to? So instead of thank you, the citizen of the welfare state is taught to say, what more am I entitled to? Yet the left insists that it's capitalism and the free market, not socialism, that produces selfish people. But the truth is that capitalism and the free market produce much less selfish people, teaching people to work hard and take care of themselves and others, and that they should earn what they receive, produces less selfish, not more selfish people. Capitalism teaches people to work more. Socialism teaches people to demand more. Which attitude do you think will make a better society? I'm Dennis Prager.
Okay, sure, let's go with your narrative. If socialism makes the people that give the power to the system selfish, what does that make the people who actually run the system? Make hundreds of thousands, millions, and billions even, working their employees until they're no longer able to work, lobbying for lower tax rates, hell, sometimes even exploiting their workers. America's healthcare system purposely confusing to navigate, the radical conservatives taking away more and more from the elderly, disabled, and retired veterans so they can fly to their fancy golf courses. It's funny that you mentioned paid vacation because almost a quarter of Trump's time in office, he wasn't actually in office. He was out golfing, using tax money to fly his private jet. Too long didn't watch or get a quick trip.